Tax Relief Committee, they met, they finished it up today. From what I understand, it was a good discussion.
You're not going to let me do this?
Discussion. I'm segueing. It says you were absent.
No, that was this morning.
Okay. Yeah, really. So Lynn's going to give us a report. They were discussing the potential of a freeze versus our existing and the firefighters abatement. So.
All right, so we had one meeting. It was very productive. Pretty much finished about everything we had to do. So there were discussions around 3 items. One was the tax freeze program that was presented over the last couple of months, and something we talked about with Melanie here. And also 2 things that had to be dealt with immediately, which were the sunsetting of the town benefit program and the deferral program. And we had to make a decision on the tax exemption program for the volunteer fire department because the legislature hasn't passed. What is that exactly?
It's Congress. It's not at the state level. Congress let it sunset where it was tax exempt. Any abatements for volunteers, and now they actually they were getting a 1099. Now they get a W-2,
right?
Which is crazy.
Yep. Yes, we talked about that.
They're so busy down there fighting about everything, they forget about the stuff that's important.
So we had a fairly lengthy discussion around the tax freeze program, and Lynn Fried had done quite a bit of. He was there on behalf of the CTA. He'd done pretty lengthy research on looking at other towns, especially Guilford, that had put this program into place, and gave us kind of an idea of going out forward over the next several years, what it would potentially do to our revenues. And after discussion, we decided that at this point in time, it was just something that the committee as formed really couldn't recommend. So we went on to making some revisions to the ordinances, which you also got copies of, I believe, for the benefit program for the fire department, as well as the town benefit program and the tax deferral program. So, there's 3 ordinances that we would be asking to be sent to town meeting.
Public hearing.
Public hearing. Really?
Yes. That's okay. I'll keep correcting you.
That's okay. I'm new. You've been here a while, so you can. The first is the volunteer fire department tax exemption program, which is essentially going to stay the same as it was before. We had Brian Manware there from the fire department, and we had a discussion about the 1099s versus the W-2s, and unfortunately we don't really have any choice in that. But what we're asking is for an extension of the ordinance for another year and to revisit that program on the grant list of for the grant list of 2013. So that's the first one.
Okay, well, we should do them separately because they'll have to go to public hearing. Is there any motion to send this to public hearing to extend that program for a year?
So moved.
Second on that?
Second.
Okay, discussion on that. Nothing changes, requirements.
Nothing changes on that. It just goes a year, and the only thing we're changing in it is that it will be revisited for the grant list of 2013. That's not changed.
Okay, all in favor, send it to public hearing.
Aye.
Opposed? No abstentions, no motion carries. Thank you.
Okay. Then we began discussing the town programs available for the tax deferment and tax deferrals and benefits for folks over 65 and who are disabled. And we had some discussions about how we could maybe add a little bit more benefit to those in lieu of really talking about the freeze program. And one of the things we came up with was, it's been almost, I believe it's been 10 years since the qualifying income level had been increased. That's what, 5 years?
Yeah, one of the things they did a long time ago was increase the income from 45 to 55.
So what we did was we decided that $5,000 increase in the income level seemed reasonable, and that we would also allow for an increase in the maximum yearly relief from $500 to $550. Just by way of information, there's a maximum amount available for the program. So if more people apply under the higher income level, which we don't think we're going to max it out because the applications are that we don't have a lot of applications, that maximum of 550 would decrease if we had a maxed out program with applicants too many to get the 550, it would just decrease.
I think this year what we found was $434 instead of $500, because the amount of applicants versus the $130,000 that was set aside gets divided into that set aside, and there being $430 instead of $500 that they were getting as a benefit. $434 or something like that.
And on that note, we also moved that we set aside funding in the amount of $180,000 versus $130,000 in the town budget, just so that we can budget for that. We felt that it made sense to increase the amount available. So that is
That's the basic tax relief. That's
basic
not the
tax
deferral.
relief. And
Motion to send that to public hearing, which would be increasing the income from 55 to 60, increasing the maximum benefit to $550, and increasing the set aside in the town budget from $130,000 to $180,000.
I'll make that motion.
Second? Second. Discussion on that? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No abstention, the motion carries. Good.
and
And then you have a deferral,
the
right?
third deferral, really what we did there was just make the increase in the income, the qualifying income match, so we increased that $5,000 as well. And we had to change the sunsetting. That was sunsetting this year as well, but we are changing the ordinance to say it will be amended as, effective from this grand list and then until such time as may be amended. So it will just change the last line to say that if we need to amend it, we can, which is the case anyway, but we just changed that sunset line in there so that this one, so that we won't end up in a situation where we have to come together again on a sunset provision. We took that out, yeah.
Okay.
That was really it. And you can see, I think Mary highlighted the changes. And that really was it. The only other thing that, can we make that? You want to move that now?
Yeah, do we have a motion to move that to public hearing, the deferral program?
So moved.
Second on it.
Sure.
Discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No abstention, the motion carries. We'll schedule that.
And then the last thing we talked about was really just getting the word out. So we talked about a number of ways that Melanie and the commission, or the committee, fire department, we can all kind of get the word out. So free things, events, harbor news, things like that we can use to get the publications out to the public in case people aren't aware of it. So
It was suggested you want a postcard.
we thought about that in a mailing, but then I think what we're going to do is design cards that are going to be around town hall and we'll have them at meetings. And actually, I just saw today the first selectman in Old Saybrook did exactly what Melanie was proposing to do on that card, which was to outline all of the benefit programs in town for veterans, for the elderly, for the disabled. So that would be the kind of thing, one of those cards you can just have out for information. That was the other thing we talked about. So that was really it, and we done.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
Thank you.